What is up, YouTube? This is Innovate Media, and today I have a deck list of a Magician's deck for May 2012, or you can call it a Spellcaster deck. So basically, this deck revolves around this bad boy, Magical Summoner Temper, which can be used to special summon any level 5 or higher light or dark spellcaster monsters. So without any further ado, let's begin. So this deck, to start off, it has 3 magical summoner temper. So when you activate a Book of Spell card, you can use its ability to special summon a level 5 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck and special summon it. So we've got 3 of these, and then we have 1 magical archer Lemur. So his ability lets you special summon level 4 or lower spellcaster monsters. So if you're in a tight spot and you need to like overlay for XYZ's level 4 to get out Utopia or whatever, this is your man. Next we have 2 Endymion, the Master Magician. He can be special summoned through Magical Summoner Temper ability, and the Master Magician, his special ability, you can discard 1 spell card to destroy 1 card on the field, which is a really good effect. Next we have 2 Magic Erudite Junin. So he can be special summoned if you have 3 Book of Spell cards in your hand, and if you don't, you can special summon it through Magical Summoner Temper. And his ability is, her ability is really good, because she can, by discarding a Book of Spell card from your hand or from your graveyard to your remove from play, you can destroy 1 card on the field, which is really good. And then we have 2 Sorcery de Fleur, which is a level 8, and it can also be special summoned through Summoner Temper. And his special ability lets you special summon a monster from your opponent's graveyard. So once he's normal summoned or special summoned, you can special summon an opponent's graveyard monster. So for example, say you have Lila on the field and then you special summon this through this. So you can special summon a level 4 or any monster you want from your opponent's graveyard. So if it's a level 4, then you can XYZ it with Lila and form Utopia or whatever you want. And then we have 2 Effect Veilers, really useful against many decks to stop monster effects. Next we have Lila. This card is really useful due to the fact that it can pop back row, and it's a spellcaster, so it works with the theme of the deck, and it has 1700 attack, which is pretty good. And its second ability lets me mill 3 cards, so if I happen to mill Book of Spell cards, I can use it with Junin and then pop more cards. And furthermore, we have Magician's Circle. This card is really good. It's similar to Swallow's Nest, but for magicians. So if with any spellcaster monster I have, if I declare an attack, I can use this and I can special summon a spellcaster with 2000 or lower attack. So my best bet will be to summon either this or this, and then if I happen to summon this, I can use its ability and special summon a level 5 or higher spellcaster from my deck. Next we have 3 Call of the Haunted. It's pretty much a monster reborn. It is really necessary that you have this in your deck, so you can continue pulling off plays. If your opponent happens to stop the plays, you can replay them through Call of the Haunted. So for example, you play off Summoner Temper, you get out one of these high monsters, and then they use Torrential Tribute or Warning. You can use a Call of the Haunted and just do that play all over again. Next we have 3 Hygro Book of Spell. This card is really good. It's like a Axe of Despair. It gives you 1000 attack to any spellcaster you equip it to, and if that spellcaster happens to destroy a opponent's monster with this 1000 attack boost, you can use its second ability, which lets you draw any Book of Spell card from your deck to your hand, which is really useful. Next we have 2 Magical Dimension. This card is really good since it's a quick play and you can use it on your opponent's turn. So if your opponent declares an attack and you're about to lose a monster, you can just pop this card, special summon a tribute a spellcaster, special summon one from your hand, and then destroy a monster on the field. Really good. Next we have 2 Secret Village of the Spellcasters. This card is amazing. If you have a spellcaster on the field and you use Secret Village, basically what it does, it lets you stop your opponent from using any spells as long as you have a spellcaster on the field. But the downside is that if you don't have a spellcaster, then you can't play any spells, but your opponent can. But it's really useful for a spell lockdown. Next we have 2 Threatening Roar. This card I mainly use it to bait out MST and Heavy Storm, because usually people want to like pull off a OTK, FTK, or whatever you call it. So say you have the first turn and you play Threatening Roar face down, and then your opponent next turn uses Heavy Storm or MST, you can chain that with this, and so they lose a card and plus they can't attack you. Next we have 1 Monster Reborn, really good. Lets you continue your plays if you happen to be warninged, Solemn Judgment, or what else, Torrential Tribute, Dark Hole. Next we have Heavy Storm, gets rid of back row, really important card, must have. Then we have 2 Taro Book of Spells. This card is pretty much a Forbidden Lance of the deck, but the plus side is that you don't lose the 800 attack. So if say you're going for game and your opponent uses Mirror Force or Deep Prison or whatever, you can just use this card as a quick play, and your spellcaster won't be affected by spells or traps depending on which you choose out of the 2 effects. Then we have Grim Book of Spell. This card is like a Rhoda of Book of Spells, I guess. So it lets you draw any Book of Spell card from your deck to your hand, and it's really useful because you use this ability, you draw a Book of a spell from your deck to your hand, and if you happen to have Junon on the field, you can remove this from the graveyard and pop a card. Really useful. And then we have Necro Book of Spell. It's pretty much a Monster Reborn. As long as you have a Book of Spell card in your hand, apart from this, you can and you have 2 spellcasters, 2 or more spellcasters in your graveyard, you can remove one from play and special summon the other. So it's pretty much a Monster Reborn. Then we have 2 Fiendish Chains. You know what it does. It's pretty much stops an opponent's effect monster, so it can't attack and its effect is negated. Then we have 2 Solidarities. Since this deck is pure spellcasters, if you can pull out both of these, you get a 1600 bonus attack, which is really useful. Then we have 1 Solemn Judgment. This is just like to stop like special summons or whatever. Like say you're going for game and your opponent pulls Mirror Force or whatever, or like on your opponent's turn they pull off Dark Hole, you can just stop all that shit with this card. And then we have Compulsory Evacuation Device. This card is really good against XYZ monsters and against synchros. Just returns it back to the deck. Now moving on to the extra deck, we have 1 number 11 Big Eye. This is really easy to pull off. You just need 2 level 7 monsters, and its ability is amazing. It lets you, if you detach an XYZ unit, you can control one of your opponent's monsters. Really useful. And then we have Magical Hierophant Heron. So you need 2 level 7 spellcasters, so you can use Master Magician or Junon, either one of these or both. And you can XYZ into this, and this is really amazing since I use Book of Spells in my deck. The amount of Book of Spells you have in your graveyard, say you have 5 Book of Spells in your graveyard, that's the amount of back row you can destroy. So you can destroy up to 5 set or face up back row cards. Really amazing with this ability by detaching 1 XYZ unit. Then we have Utopia, level 4. It stops it negates attack, really good. Then we have 1 number 40. Haven't used it yet, but I've seen a lot of people use this card, and they using the string counters, you lose 500 life points for every monster that's destroyed. So basically what this card does is you can detach 1 XYZ unit from this card and place 1 string for each face-up monster on the field, and then in the end phase of the opponent's next turn, all the monsters with string counters on them are destroyed, and then for the amount of monsters that are destroyed, your opponent loses 500 life points for each. Then we have one Heretic Dragon of Heretic Sun Dragon. You probably know this card from my Heretic Dragon deck list. I use this because it uses 2 level 8 monsters, and Sorcerer de Fleur is a level 8, and I have 2 of them. So I can pull this card off, and then I can just tribute monsters from my hand or my field, and just pop any card on the field to the amount of cards that I've tributed by detaching one XYZ unit. Next we have one number 17 Leviathan Dragon. This is really easy to pull off by using magical Archer Lamorne's ability and then special summoning these two, and then and if you don't happen to have any book of spells, you can XYZ into Leviathan and then use its ability, get 2500 attack, and just try to hold off till the next turn. And then we have one Gaia Dragoon. If one of your level 5 or 6 XYZ monsters happen to get Fiendish Chained or somehow like stopped, you can just tribute them and then form this XYZ monster, or you can use 2 level 7 XYZ monsters to form this. And the cool thing is, it's like a Bora, Blackwing Bora. What it does is piercing damage on defense position monsters, which is really useful. Next we have what you wouldn't expect is Synchro monsters. I have this because I have 2 Effect Veilers, so if I don't use Effect Veiler, I will probably summon it and Synchro if I need to. So I have one Alley of Justice, one TG Hyper Librarian, one Stardust, one Scrap, and one Magical Android. Apart from all those, I also have a XYZ number 7 Lucky Stripe. This card is really risky to play, but it really depends on luck. So to bring this out, you need 3 level 7s, so either Master Magicians or Junon. Just have 3 level 7s out, and then you can XYZ into this, overlay those 3 XYZ into this, and you roll. Basically what it does is you roll 2 dices, and then you add the total. So say the first dice you roll rolls a 5, and the second dice you rolls a 5, so that's a total of 10. So his attack will be 10 times 700, which would be 7,000, and then you can attack and go for game or whatever. But if you happen to roll a 4 or a 3, a 4 and a 3, either way, which will total a 7, you get you can use its special ability, which you can send all other cards to the graveyard, or you can special summon a monster from either side of the graveyard, or you can draw 3 cards and then discard 2 cards. And with that you'll get 4,900 attack, which is really good. And that's pretty much it. So stay tuned, and I will show you some gameplay examples of this deck in action. Peace out.